Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about 5 free ways to increase your damage. Now I'm going to be showing you how you can go from this before picture with barely 50k stats and very little boss damage, IED, critical rate, and crit damage, and all of these other low multipliers, to basically having 66k stats, almost 67, and an increase in boss damage, IED, critical damage, and critical rate. So stay tuned. So the first way that we have to increase our damage is by link skills. And link skills is, we're not talking solely on damage in terms of just having more range, but also having more ways to increase your overall damage output. So let me show you what I mean. So having link skills like boss damage, IED, Kana for another damage increase, all of these link skills will contribute to a good amount of your damage and bossing. So all of these link skills I have equipped are essential for bossing purposes. So this is one of the free ways that you can use to increase your damage. There are also other link skills that you can use. For example, if you don't have 100% crit rate, you can use Phantom link skill. If you have an extra slot, you can use something like a Xenon link skill. You can also use link skills like Bravado for training. So there are lots of different link skills that you guys can use for training and bossing purposes. Like Adele is very useful if you guys are doing a full party type of bossing. So link skills are definitely a must if you plan to train beyond level 200. I would say even before level 200, it's a definite must. So again, free way to increase your damage. Now the second free way of increasing your damage, now I say this time, it's not really exactly free, but it is very cheap and affordable. And that is through the V matrix, which is your 5th job. Now to provide an illustration of what I mean when I say nodes are super important, here's a screenshot of my dojo record. And basically, as you can see here, this week I reached only floor 58, whereas last week I was able to reach all the way up to floor 60. And the difference between the two is one had full nodes equipped and the other one did not have any nodes equipped at all. And this was definitely intentional and not because I forgot to equip them back after making a video about nodes some time ago. Yeah, definitely not that. But yeah, it does go to illustrate the point of how important nodes are. With nodes unequipped, I basically lose 2 floors worth of dojo stats. So having nodes is essential, and let me show you why. So for the V matrix, we have nodes that boost our main attack skill. So if you see right here, we have these are my main attack skills for bossing and training, and essentially you can see that it gives an extra 60% final damage increase. And this obviously doesn't show up in your range, in your stat window, but it does show up when you're trying to kill a boss. So if you're killing a boss without nodes or without max nodes, you're doing it wrong. Same thing here. Again, another 60%. So just from these two alone, I'm getting 120% increase in final damage. Same thing for these, which is my secondary set of skills for training and mobbing. And again, just from these two alone, it is 180% or 120% depending on the skill total. So extremely important. And also don't forget to use this slot enhancement. Enhance your nodes up to level 5, as you can see. So increasing by an extra 5 levels will give it even more damage. So I know some of you forget about this, but these matrix points, you get 1 per level, and they are extremely helpful when you're trying to increase your damage for free, quote unquote free. But again, nodes, extremely cheap. And then obviously we have our major skill bursts for your class. So this is my part of my burst 5th job skills. So things like the skill, Grandize Blessing, Dragon Blaze, Nova Guardians, all these 5th job skills will end up helping you increase your damage overall. So nodes, again, absolutely important. And same thing for decent skills. If you guys have room, definitely use your speed infusion, which basically increases your attack speed, helps you stop attacking and start attacking faster and attack more in a given second. Sharp Eyes gives critical rate and critical damage. Again, doesn't really show up in your stat window in terms of the range boost, but you'll see it overall once you start killing a boss. And decent combat orders, extremely class dependent, but again, you can definitely use this if needed. Again, V Matrix, extremely important for boosting your overall damage output. The third method I have for you for boosting damage is your Legion. And specifically, we're talking about the Legion grid. And for the Legion grid, what you want to do is you want to put everything into critical damage and boss damage. Some people put it on attack and your main stat as well. I don't do that, just personally because I don't think it's worth, but some people do. And IED, and for my class, I rely on buff duration a lot, so I put it on buff duration and IED. So definitely these three at least are the main grids to focus on: the boss damage, the IED, and the critical damage. And for some classes like Lumi, I think they rely on buff duration as well. So yeah. And the fourth way that we have for boosting your damage is Legion characters. So if you notice, my Legion character gives extra effects that basically are listed on the member bonuses, and essentially these member bonuses add up to be quite a bit. Like if you look here, critical damage, I have at least 15% from it. Let's just use that as an example real quick. So we have critical damage here, we have another critical damage here, we also have another critical damage here. So that's already 15% worth of critical damage from Legion characters. You also need things like your main stat. So for me, it's strength. So for Kaiser, it gives strength. You can also have EXP bonuses, but we won't go into that too much. And classes like Demon Avenger gives boss damage. BT gives IED, which again helps with your overall damage output in a boss. And for Arc, classes like Arc, it gives the strength bonuses, similar to what my Kaiser does. Maikana gives 5% boss damage. Hayato gives the 5% critical damage that we were talking about before. Shade, same thing, 5% critical damage. Marksman, if you don't have 100% critical rate, which you probably don't unless you're a class with abnormally high critical rate, you probably need Marksman to have 100% critical rate, which is the bare minimum for endgame bossing. Same thing for Night Lord, critical rate 4%. Critical damage for Jet, what we were just talking about, 5% again. And then another 5% IED from Blaster. And then buff duration is what I need. Again, class dependent. So if your class doesn't need it, then you probably don't need it. But I also have some secondary stat like Bowmaster, which basically gives dex just because I have the slots for it. But I don't think this is absolutely essential. What is essential is you get things like critical damage, boss damage, IED, strength. If you're a strength class, obviously, get whatever your main stat is. IED again, crit damage, boss damage, IED, you know, strength, attack. But these are from lab servers, so I don't think you guys can get that anymore. So don't worry about that too much. But again, focus on the things that will give you endgame bossing advantage. And this is essentially absolutely free. You just have to train characters. It's about as free as it gets. And lastly, we have number 5. Can you guess what it is? No, it's not equips. Actually, it is similar to equips. And that is your arcane symbols. Your arcane symbols are about as free as it gets. You just basically do dailies, kill some monsters, and you get free stats. So take a look at this number. 13.2k worth of strength just from having max symbols alone. We're talking about just from this that I get basically completely free outside of, you know, just doing dailies and upgrade costs and everything, but those are rather minimum in the grand scheme of things. But just from that, I'm getting 13.2k stat. So for those of you who are putting off dailies, you might want to start doing them. Max out your symbols because you're getting so much free damage from it. 13.2k stats. Just put that in mind. And let me give you guys a bonus. For those of you who are higher level even, or plan to go higher level, you get another 2.6k strength so far just from having level 6 and level 4 symbols. So keep that in mind. You know, 2.6k plus 13k, so you have over almost 16k worth of strength just from symbols alone. Imagine how crazy that is. And you're really doing this for free. You're just killing some monsters, doing some dailies, and you're good. So again, top 5 ways to get your damage up: links, nodes, Legion grid, Legion characters, Arcane Force / Sacred Power symbols. So if you guys max out these 5 ways, I promise you your damage and bossing, it'll be way better than before. So hope you guys found this video helpful. If you guys did, please be sure to drop a like as a thank you. And make sure to subscribe if you haven't already and you guys want to see more content like this. And as always, I will see you guys in the next video.